This is really, really bad. Hey everyone, Red Rebel Jeff Jones here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the recent hate crime bill that passed in the Dáil, the Irish Parliament here in Ireland. There are many aspects of the bill that are very, very troubling, and it's actually so bad in fact that even some on the left who support hate speech laws are against this bill. So it just tells you how bad it is. Now before we get into it, please like and share this video to give it a boost. Now there are many issues with this bill, and I'm going to go through some of them, but there's a lot of them. So I'm not going to be able to get through every single one, but these are just the ones that jump out to me particularly. First off, and this is actually very early in the actual bill if you read it, and I will leave a link to the bill in the description down below, is that it does seem to be targeted legislation. Now, when I say targeted legislation, I mean it's targeting a specific area of hate. Interestingly enough, it doesn't actually define hate or hate speech. It doesn't define it, which is convenient. The heading section of the bill specifies that it is targeting specifically racism and xenophobia, which they also don't define, also quite conveniently. So what does this heading section say? It describes the bill as an act to amend the law relating to the prohibition of incitement to violence or hatred against a person or a group of persons on account of certain characteristics referred to as protected characteristics of the person or the group of persons, and to provide for an offence of condoning, denying or grossly trivialising genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity and crimes against peace, and in doing so to give effect to Council Framework Decision 2008-913 JHA of the 28th of November 2008 on combating certain forms and expressions of racism and xenophobia by means of criminal law. Now this is quite serious, because you can tell this is going to be used specifically to target the anti-immigration protests that have been taking place. Now yes, some of those protests have gone violent, and I do condemn that violence totally. It's wrong, 100%. I do think there's a big issue in kind of conflating the violence of some of the anti-immigration crowds to all of the anti-immigration protests. But that seems to be what the left in Ireland is doing at the moment. Now probably the most egregious section of the bill is section 10. Section 10 criminalises the possession of hateful material, even if that material isn't communicated. Here's what the bill says. Offence of preparing or possessing material likely to incite violence or hatred against persons on account of their protected characteristics. So, subject to subsections 2 and 3 and section 11, a person shall be guilty of an offence under this section if the person prepares or possesses material that is likely to incite violence or hatred against a person or a group of persons on account of their protected characteristics, or any of those characteristics, with a view to the material being communicated to the public or a section of the public, whether by himself or herself or another person, and prepares and possesses such material with the intent to incite violence or hatred against such a person or group of persons on account of those characteristics, or any of those characteristics, or being reckless as to whether such violence or hatred is thereby incited. Now, I'll bring that back again to a person is guilty they're guilty of an offence under this section if they prepare or possess material that is likely to incite violence or hatred. That is essentially a thought crime, and that is very, very scary. Another issue with the bill is how warrants are going to be issued under it, because the warrants issued under this bill are open warrants, and that means that the Gardaí will have the power to search anything and everything that they want, and everyone, in the residence in which the person with the hateful material resides. Now, the property that they can actually look at includes any area of the property of the residence, anyone on the property or residence at the time of the warrant, any device, which is a phone, tablet, computer, anything, in the residence at the time of the warrant. And it also forces owners of any device in the residence at the time of the warrant to give the passwords to the devices and encryption keys to the Gardaí. And if they don't, they get punished for obstruction of justice. Now, I'm sorry, that seems very unjust, if you ask me. It kind of really throws away the idea of private property and privacy. The warrant section of the bill reads, "A search warrant under this section shall be expressed and shall operate to authorise a named member," when they say member, they're talking about a member of the Gardaí, "accompanied by such other members or persons or both as the member thinks necessary, to enter at any time within 1 week of the date of the issue of the warrant, on production, if so requested, of the warrant, and if necessary by the use of reasonable force, the place named in the warrant, to search it and any persons found at that place, and to examine, seize and retain anything found at that place or anything found in possession of a person present at that place at the time of the search, that member reasonably believes to be evidence of or relating to the commission of an offence under sections 7, 8 and 10, as the case may be." And remember, 10 is the thought crime. So that's scary enough. The authority conferred by subsection 2c to seize and retain anything includes, in case of document or record, authority to make and retain a copy of the document or record, and where necessary to seize and, for so long as is necessary, retain any computer in which any record is kept. A member acting under the authority of a search warrant under this section may operate any computer at the place that is being searched, or cause any such computer to be operated by a person accompanying the member for that purpose, and here's the scary part, require any person at that place who appears to the member to have lawful access to the information in any such computer, to give to the member any password necessary to operate it, and any encryption key or code necessary to unencrypt the information accessible by the computer. Otherwise, to enable the member to examine the information accessible by the computer in a form which the information is visible and legible, or to produce the information in a form which it can be removed and in which it is or can be made visible and legible. That is very scary. That you'd have to give your passwords over to this, and there's just so much wrong with that. Now, this is an issue I've seen in other areas, and I will cover it in other videos. But this hate crime bill does something that is very, very dangerous, and that is it destroys the presumption of innocence. And again, it's in section 10, which I will say is probably the most horrific section in any bill that's been written in a long, long time. Section 10 includes a point where it is assumed that anyone who is in possession of hateful material is not going to use it for personal use only. That they're going to use it that they're going to share it out to other people. That they're going to communicate it. This is a serious breach of the principle of the presumption of innocence, which characterises the legal system. Here's what the bill says. In any proceedings for an offence under this section, where it is proved that the accused person was in possession of material such as is referred in subsection 1, and it is reasonable to assume that the material was not intended for the personal use of the person shall be presumed until the contrary is proved to have been in possession of the material in contravention of subsection 1. I want to say that again, because that is really scary. It is reasonable to assume that the material was not intended for personal use of the person. The person shall be presumed until the contrary is proved to have been in possession of the material in contravention of subsection 1. Until the contrary is proved. That is essentially guilty until proven innocent. Now, hopefully, and this is what Free Speech Ireland are actually hoping to do with this bill, is to beat it in the courts. And I think they have a good chance of succeeding, because this bill destroys a lot of the rights people have. It destroys the freedom of speech that's in the Constitution. It really gives Gardaí ridiculous power in terms of the warrants. It destroys privacy rights that people have. And it destroys the presumption of innocence. What the hell? And this bill is so bad. Even some of those on the left, who generally support hate speech laws, have serious issues with this bill. That's how bad it is. The most surprising thing for me, the most surprising TD for me, is Paul Murphy from the Solidarity People Before Profit Party. Now, I'm not going to lie, I disagree with him on most things, I would say. And I actually agree with him on this. He has spoken out against the bill, especially Section 10. And I do recommend you watch his speeches on the bill in the Dail. They are brilliant. And he nails Section 10 especially. Rightfully so, because it is a horrific piece of legislation. So, Paul Murphy, I give you a huge amount of credit for that. Hate speech laws are never to actually combat hate. They're meant to combat those who disagree with those in power. They always have been. It criminalises those who have a different opinion to those in power. Name a time in history where government restrictions on free speech didn't end up in a tyranny. Every time government has restricted free speech, there's been a tyranny. Hitler, Castro, Maduro, every tyrant in history hated free speech. Because if free speech is allowed to be around, then those in power have a chance to lose it. And people who are in power are always afraid to lose that power. And I think a lot of people in power who are supporting this bill should definitely lose it if they think this bill is a good idea. So what do you guys think of the bill? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. The power to restrict speech is a power that no one, left wing or right wing, should have. I don't trust anyone with that power. Only those that are fundamentally tyrannical are the ones calling for anyone to have that power. And to those tyrants that are promoting this bill, feck off.